I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon, and am 86% sure that I'm recording on the right microphone. But we'll keep it at that. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
There you go. It'll be alright.
Yeah.
World will go up in flames.
Or
it's okay if the quality is too bad, then people might not understand if we say names wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess we owe an apology to Karen Allen for the last episode. I at least at one point, called them Carrie. It is not because they're playing opposite of Harrison Ford and the other also famous
Harrison Ford.
What did I say?
No, I was just like connecting it to Carrie, calling her Carrie.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
It's not because of Carrie Fisher, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
At least I don't think so. It was just a slip of the tongue, but someone let us know about it. It's one of the few comments we've actually gotten, and I appreciate it. I was like, okay.
I appreciate it too. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the feedback. It's very nice.
For letting us know that we said it wrong. But
also know that we're dyslexic and say names wrong.
Yes, we're very dyslexic, and we could probably do some research ahead of time. Would that be respectful to these people? Probably. Is it disrespectful not to ahead of time? I don't know. We don't have that much time, and we did watch the movie.
We had that much power,
and we don't even have that much power.
Nobody listens to us. But if you do like what you listen to, you can head down to patreon.com/green and faceless, sign up to our subscription tiers and everything. And then, the more powerful we grow, the more correct we shall be.
Yes, and the more that your comments will hurt us, cut us so deep. Not that we were hurt. But anyhow,
I was hurt.
I did reach out to them and to see if there was, something that we could be doing. I guess it's get the goddamn names right. So here we are. This is a podcast about movies and TV called Green and Faceless on the Couch. And we are here to cap off the Indiana Jones playlist with a brand new movie just came out. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Because somebody looked at the franchise and said, it hasn't been wrung dry yet.
It needs one
I need to get
It needs one more.
Some more money needs to be milked from that mad motherfucker.
To be fair, 4 is a weird place to stop. And also...
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
That's true. But also, it wasn't that great. This is, I will say up front, an improvement to the last.
It is better. I would not use the word improvement. I would just say that it is better.
Okay, I don't know why that's not synonymous, but
because it's also bad.
All right, fair. There are some bad things, but I, in general, thought I enjoyed myself. It might have been going back to the theater. You are much used to that experience, unlike myself here in the last few years. However, I will say sitting in the second to front row was not easy on CGI Harrison.
It was not easy on CGI Harrison, nor was it easy on my upper back. I'm still fighting a bit of a pinched nerve in my upper back from craning.
It did hurt my neck, which I'm in PT for. But that's how it goes. I mean, I feel
that's
like
how it goes. Yeah,
I feel like we, we're suspecting. Okay, it's a matinee showing. The movie theaters really haven't been bumping the last couple years, And
I was not expecting that.
They were busy when we went.
Yeah,
it was a hot weekend.
That was the second most packed movie I've been to this year. just ahead of Super Mario Bros. And just behind Into the Across the Spider-Verse. So many adjectives or whatever you call those adverbs.
No wonder I can't keep them apart. I was like, isn't that what the first one was called? This one is called The Dial of Destiny, though.
Dial of Destiny.
It starts off back in the 40s again. Guess what? Nazis, because we love to watch Indiana Jones versus the Nazis. And that's great.
With one particular nerdy Nazi being played by Mads Mikkelsen.
That's right. Mads Mikkelsen plays Dr. Fuller. And he's brilliant as always. But yeah, in that first scene, he's a little bit more. What do I want to say? He's got an arc. He definitely has an arc.
Yeah, he's character. Not. He's not true villain material yet. He's still
right.
Still cautious.
He's more like a flunky under the villain right now. And he's
weary.
Yeah, he's like playing Hitler's lead archaeologist. And as we know, Hitler was obsessed with the occult.
Yeah, and your most important individuals for the occult are archaeologists.
That's right, exactly. And
especially adventure archaeologists.
Named Indiana Jones, that's correct.
Yes.
So Mads, he's here, and they actually have the Holy Lance, the spear that supposedly stabbed Jesus to check if he was dead on the cross, which historically there's at least 2 of them, which there was only one. There was only one in the Bible, but there's at least 2 of them that actually existed in reliquaries. One was in Constantinople, and the other was in Antioch. And they're both very famous, and they're both gone now.
And whatever one they had on this Nazi train was a fake.
That's right, because
it was a phony.
Too powerful to have in this movie. Instead,
big fat phony.
Instead, Mads Mikkelsen pulls out and says, "Hey, let's give the Fuhrer this." And I hate that I'm referring to him as that. He pulls out the Antikythera. Doesn't he just pull it out? I don't remember where it came from.
Yeah. It was just all you said was he pulls out, and like left it at that. And I was just like, he pulls out. All right. He pulls
out. So he takes out the Antikythera, this beautiful half thing gearbox thing, which the Antikythera is real. Okay, it is something that we've actually found. But it is a rusty, fallen piece of crap because we found it on the bottom of the ocean. Like if you,
but we don't know what it was.
We don't. We have no idea what it does.
This movie does have an idea. Though.
I've never really heard the Archimedes connection to this device.
He was an owl.
He was an owl to Minerva, that is correct, / Athena,
and to Merlin.
And to Merlin, that's Disney right. Movie. That's right, he was. Yeah. But he was also a mathematician that actually probably existed in Syracuse, a Greek.
This movie knows that he existed. They
prove it.
Yeah.
So they say that the Antikythera. I'm like ruining the opening part of the movie. They say that Antikythera is the only physical archaeological evidence that this man existed. But in real life, we don't know where the Antikythera came from. We just know that
came from Archimedes.
We just know that it is a gearbox that is more advanced than anything that we have found.
They would not have lied to us in this movie, Blake.
And we don't know what it's for. We don't know what
this movie is not conspiracy, it's facts.
But he's got a shiny, brand new one from the past that's shiny and brand new. And
it looks nice.
It does look nice. And he squares off with CGI Harrison, who is a spy. He's dressed like an
face
SS.
Shows so little emotion. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and you know what I think the really weird part about it is watching like young Harrison Ford
old man voice
with the old man voice. Yes!
Yes, thank you.
That was
when he started talking. Oh, man.
It's not Harrison's
he started
fault.
talking. I was
it's
like,
not his fault.
No, it's not. It's not. But it's just, it looks so wrong coming out of that face.
Yeah, because we
and
know
the face
that
is like
voice.
not making any emotion.
We know Harrison's voice from that era because we're fanboys. So it's super weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fan person.
Oh, fan person. I'm sorry.
Or fanboy with an I at the end.
Okay, fanboy.
Fanboy.
So, we also meet Toby Jones's character, Basil Shaw.
Yay.
Who's
He's in Doctor Who.
Yes, he is. So Toby Jones is also an archaeologist, but he's not like, a big spy type fellow like Indiana Jones. They're just trying to stop this booty train that the Nazis have. And so they fight against them and get the Anti-Kythera. Over the years, Toby Jones goes...
Well, I do think it's important because I want to talk about this fact. It's important to say that Mads Mikkelsen...
They kill Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah. That's right.
On the train, gets whacked by a pole. Like, the train's going fast. Like, normally trains go like...
scars or anything. Like, they could have done something.
Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, I thought they were going somewhere with it. Because we'll get to it.
Right.
But...
He's also like...
a normal train... A normal train's going like 40 miles an hour. That train was going faster than 40. It was going probably 60.
Fast. It was out of control because of parts of the plot. There's some fun action scenes that went along with that. But God, every time Indiana Jones was turned around, it was just so clearly the double. Like from the side, he looked like somebody else. He looked like... Oh, God, I had it when we were watching the movie. There was, literally, he looked like another actor when he was turned to the side. But it's whatever. Let's move past that.
Ehrenreich, or whatever his name is, the young guy in Solo. Ehrenreich.
No, he did not.
No, this is a movie that if you're going to go to the theaters to watch it, sit in the back. That way you're not noticing all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's not so bad, like, when you get on a television screen and stuff. Like, when you're that close and the screen is convex, it's gonna ruin the effects, and it really did
a little bit.
I was a little upset about that part, but I'm trying to be forgiving of it because I don't know what it's supposed to look like. That is fair.
Right, that's fair. But as you said, they cut from Nazi train back in the golden days to like 25 years later when an 80-year-old Harrison Ford is playing a 68-year-old Indiana Jones, or however old you want to call him.
It's 1969, I believe, because they just landed on the moon. And that's a big deal in the show, in the background more, not to the plot, really. The only thing that's important to the plot with that is that Indiana Jones feels that he and the whole field of archaeology itself is growing obsolete because people are looking to the sky instead of to the past.
And his classes are boring now. He used to be like super popular, but now people are like falling asleep in his classes.
Right.
Except for one person who showed up and answered all of his stuff.
That's played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Who
was a front runner to play the Doctor in Doctor Who for many years. That
would be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I always liked her as a choice, but I think she's grown too popular for that.
Maybe. They did Fleabag, if I recall, on Amazon. I've only watched the first episode because, well, she plays a not-so-great person. It's not that easy to watch, but I know a lot of people like that show. But anyways, they play Helena Shaw, at least I believe that's her last name. She's Basil's daughter. And Indiana Jones's goddaughter. Henry Jones. Yeah, you're right. At this point, he's going by Henry.
Well, sorry. I said Toby Jones for Basil.
Oh, okay.
Just so.
Yes.
I didn't know if we had actually named him earlier, or if we just called him Toby Jones.
Oh,
okay.
I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Anyways... she grew up with her dad obsessed with this thing. So she's auditing his lecture without permission and is answering all his questions. And he just happens to be talking about Syracuse and the Antikythera. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Just happens to be. And
she has all the answers to that, and she meets him in a bar. What
afterwards. A cinematic coincidence!
He gets retired / he is retired. It's like his last day.
Yeah.
And they meet at a bar, and he's like, "I'm celebrating. You know, I'm not just drinking in the middle of the day, even though he put a shot in his coffee." And yeah, he and Marion are also getting a divorce. Karen Allen does have a small part to play in this, but they're getting a divorce because Mutt died in Vietnam, I'm guessing.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, Mutt died in Vietnam. Yeah. I honestly
real life
thought
Tarzan couldn't get to Vietnam.
I really thought that it was an okay way to get around having Shia. Like, it made sense. Like, it's 20 years in between between the stories about. And, you know, I really actually enjoyed what they did with him and Marion's relationship. I just wish there was more Karen Allen in it if they were going to put her in it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Anyways,
I agree with you.
They start getting chased by these CIA people and these goons that are working with the CIA. The one CIA agent that's important to note is played by Shawnette Renee Wilson, who plays, the agent's name is Mason. And she's pretty cool, and she's trying to keep these goons that are like for some reason working with the CIA in line. Yeah. But they all work for Dr. Voller, Mads Mikkelsen. And Mads Mikkelsen helped, after the war, you know, changed his name so that he could, you know, not be recognized as a Nazi war criminal.
Yeah. So he could work for the American government. Right. Get us to the moon.
He helped us get to the moon and got a gaggle of racists to get behind him. A couple of them are Boyd Holbrook, who plays Clabber, and
I didn't know if you heard my joke in the theater, and I want to know if you did hear my joke.
Okay.
Because Boyd showed up on screen, and you said, "Oh boy," because of his mustache. And I said, "No, oh Boyd." And then I laughed, but you didn't laugh at all, so I didn't know if you had heard it or not.
I was like, you just repeated what I said.
No, that's the eye guy, the Corinthian in Sandman.
That's Boyd. Right. That's where I recognize him.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, he plays a American neo-Nazi in this, which works for him.
Trigger happy.
Yeah, and very trigger happy. Yeah.
He wants to shoot everything.
That's one was
only character trait.
Hawk. The other one playing opposite him was Hawk, played by Olivier Richters, and he is just ginormous.
Okay, I was wondering if he was the big guy.
He's huge. So huge. Sometimes I watch big people on screen, and I'm like, is that what it looks like when I enter a room? Like, Jesus.
Well, I mean, that guy is like, take Harrison Ford as he is in this movie, and like, make him 3 times taller and 3 times wider, and that's like Harrison, that's Hawk. I mean, like huge motherfucker.
He's huge. In fact, there's this really
he punches
funny
Harrison
scene.
Once, I think, and I thought that was it. I was like,
Harrison's dead. Like, there's another time I was just about to talk about where Indy punches him. And he's just like, oh, my hand, and just like runs away. Yeah. Like, you know, it's a classic take, but like Harrison Ford does a good job at it.
Yeah, he does a good, but that's part of my problem with this movie is like it really is just like what Easter eggs or what references can we get away with?
Right.
Because like he says the "it should belong in a museum" line twice.
Yes.
He does that, punch him, and he's just like, "Ow, fuck," and runs away. Like, you have a lot of sound effects that are heard over and over again.
For a long time to do the hat thing.
Yeah, they did. That's right. They did tastefully hold their ways with that one for a while. There's a lot there. Like, even the Marion, like, he has one interaction with Marion towards the end of the movie, which is, it's sweet.
Yes.
I like it. It's very circular motion for the entire franchise.
Right.
But it still is just a reference to another thing that came before it.
Right.
Like, that's this whole movie is just like, it's so many references of what came before that after a while I was like, I'm tired. Like, my brain was just like, I'm tired of seeing all these things, and just from a filmmaker's perspective, just like noticing what it just kept pulling me out of the experience, because I'm just like, oh, that's right, it's an Indiana Jones movie, we have to do that.
Speaking of references, we do have John Rhys Davies returning as Sulla. He's not a big part of the action in this, but he does have a couple of roles. It does make me a little sad too, but they do this scene where he's like, "Let me go with you, Indy. I want to have another adventure." Yeah. And he's like, "This isn't an adventure."
Almost causes him to get hit by a car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, they're just both very old. And Harrison's like, "No, I'm not going to drag you into this. I'm probably going to get killed."
Yeah. It's just sad to me because John Rhys Davies turned down coming back for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because he's like, I'm not coming back unless my character's important.
Right.
And then now, like 20 years later or 10 years later, however long ago that movie was, it's just like, he's like, fuck it, I'll come back for a minute and a half, sure.
See, he still had a lot of Gimli fame back when Crystal Skull
That's true, yeah. He had the water clout.
So he though, I do think that he's kind of important to this, because he keeps Indy's in bad shape after Mutt died and Marion left. He's in bad shape, and Sulla does kind of keep an eye on him, and he has his grandchildren there and stuff like that, and that was fun to see. This Welsh guy have all these Egyptian grandchildren.
And talk about his Egyptian heritage and everything. I'm just like, ooh, I was remembering what Blake was saying about this being a little bit of a questionable thing.
But
it's all right.
Yeah, he's a beloved classic character. I believe, in my opinion, he plays the character very tastefully, but it could.
I kept thinking, though, throughout the whole movie, because all these familiar faces kept popping up, I was just like, all right, and Ke Huy Quan's going to be popping up.
That would have been so fun.
It would have been fun, but after a while, I was kind of like, it was so way too familiar that I was like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. And thankfully, I will spoil that they don't do it.
He would have had to been a main character if they did it. Where were we next? Oh yeah.
Really,
I think we really talked about what it's about. Without giving away everything that happens, they do go to Sicily because that's where Syracuse is.
Right.
Trying to think of where else they really travel. They don't do a lot of travel. They might go to Egypt.
They go underwater. There's one scene where they go underwater to explore something. That was right. Somewhat interesting.
Antonio Banderas is the character. He's the best frogman in Spain, Ronaldo. And my gosh. He walks with the cane, but he's a great diver.
His whole screen time, I think. It took me his whole screen time to realize who it was.
He was scruffy in it, yes.
He was, and I was sitting there because, all I had was his voice. Because he kept saying things, and I would just be like, oh, that sounds so familiar. Who is this? And then, after a while, I was like, oh, Antonio?
They do go to Tangier. I remember that. That's where, that's where Harrison, Indy re-meets up with Helena. And working under Helena is a young teenage boy named Teddy. who we almost
Yeah,
forgot.
he's Short Round.
He's a local Tangier boy named, played by Ethan Isidore. And he's trying to learn how to fly by just having like mock dials and a mock yoke in front of him. Like he's going through all the motions. He's built his own simulator, essentially. Yeah. But it's all in the mind's eye. And eventually he has to fly a plane that he doesn't actually know anything about.
No.
Yeah.
It's fun scene.
It's a fun scene.
It's really fun.
It reminded me of Anakin.
Honestly, I honestly want to get to that. Let's go ahead and say, like, I'm sorry, people, if you don't want spoilers, skip to the very last, 5 minutes of this podcast.
Maybe.
Because I think it's time to talk the MacGuffin and that final arc, because I think that's the most important thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
The
spoilers happening now. To avoid spoilers, go to minute 40, second 20.
Boop. Now, here we are. The MacGuffin, the Dial of Destiny. They discovered that it's a time travel device. It can open up or discover. It can tell them the location of a time fissure.
Fissures.
Yeah. And, the idea is that, I don't know. I don't remember
Mads
how
wants to
happens.
go back and kill Hitler and then become Hitler. That's what he wants.
I don't understand how the fissures happen. They explain it, but it's stupid.
Oh yeah, not enough. It's supposed to be only Archimedes really understood it. Kind of.
Yeah, and they happen in the sky, so it's just that's why people wouldn't really notice it, is because it happens and it's in the middle of a storm, and most people are inside or not looking up during a storm, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's covered.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, you don't do it all the time.
But Mads is you find out that Mads is the kind of Nazi that wants Nazi to win, but doesn't like Hitler.
Yeah, he likes
he can do it better.
all of Hitler's ideas. He just thinks Hitler's an idiot and made too many mistakes. Yeah.
Which isn't wrong.
I mean, it's not that it isn't true. The fact that he made a lot of mistakes, but the part where accurate. That he was right, that's not true. He definitely was not right.
No, he was not true. He was not right at all. Hitler bad, Nazis bad.
We're just gonna put that
and so
out
is
there.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes.
Mads Mikkelsen is still a bad Nazi. He's just a different type of bad Nazi.
Yeah.
He's a bad Nazi that hates Hitler.
Yes.
Which is kind of enemy of my enemy at this point. But you don't want him to go back in time
and become better Hitler. You don't want him to be better Hitler.
Even though he can apparently survive getting hit by a post going 70 miles an hour or whatever. So that's what I really want to talk about, is they set it up that, and this is one of the biggest problems with the movie in my opinion, is all these weird setups. They set it up that when he first meets in Indiana Jones, after that opening introduction scene, Indiana Jones, I don't know why I keep wanting to go with his first name. Indiana Jones, he says, "I know you," and Mads Mikkelsen, Jürgen Voller, is just like, "Who are you? I don't know you."
Yeah.
And my first thought is, "Oh, okay, time travel. This guy's gonna go back. This is gonna be our guy at the beginning of the movie." That would explain why this guy is able to walk around with no issues. But then you find out that he does know who Indiana Jones is. And so then I'm like, oh, okay, so this guy might be some kind of weird, he has fake body prosthetics or whatever to cover the horrible scarring from being hit by a post.
He's going to be the Red Skull.
Exactly. Nope, none of that. He apparently can just survive getting hit by a post going 70 miles an hour and have no scarring issues.
You know what? Maybe he did an Indiana Jones thing and he jumped and latched onto it.
No, you definitely heard a pong.
I know.
And saw his body go flying.
I was like, oh, they just brought Mads in to kill him? Okay.
That's what I thought too. I was just like, oh, damn, I thought he was going to be the villain, but I guess he just wanted to be an Indiana Jones movie.
That's exactly how I felt about Shawnette Renee's character, since we're doing spoilers, they die, and it's like...
There's another one that was just
she seemed like she was
what are you setting
important.
up here?
Yeah, and she just was not in the long run of things. Like, she's trying to reel back these Proud Boys, I'll call them, and...
good word.
Yeah, and... She can't because she has absolutely no control over them until the CIA calls her and is like, yeah, we're pulling the plug on this. Your boys are crazy. And she's like, I know that. Now I'm going to tell them that we're grounded. And then they killed her. Yeah. So it really
then they just shoot her.
No real point.
It's dumb.
But I really like Shanette's presence. It's very good.
Yeah. She did a good job, but they just don't utilize her at all. Yeah. Another, before we get to the finale, talking about the finale, another setup issue that they had is with a lot of the humor. Like, I didn't understand a lot of what felt like should have been jokes. So, for example, there's a moment where, Harrison... I don't know why do I keep doing that. There's a moment where Indiana Jones is just like, he's being led out by the Proud Boys. They've got him and everything. They walk out into a parade where a protest where you have people chanting, against the Vietnam War and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they're already chanting. That's already happening. And they go out there and Harrison starts chanting with them to rile them up. They're already riled up. And then all he does is turn that chant into a punch. And, it makes no sense. It's like, if there was nothing going on, if it was just a parade, and he goes out there and stirs up the protesters, kind of like, even though I hate to do this, but in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, when they're in the diner, and he uses the jackets versus the leathers, like when he turns those people, the greasers versus the letterbacks against each other.
Yeah, the preppy kids.
If he creates a distortion, it makes sense. I would have understood if he was going out there and creating some kind of distraction so he can get away.
He just escalates.
But he's already going out into a distraction. I don't understand what that scene was about.
He escalates it like an escalator, and then...
But he didn't.
Hell no, we won't go. He came up with it.
He came up with it. That's true. Yeah, that's right. He did. He was the first to say it. No, but there's another one too where him and Phoebe Waller-Bridge are confronted by, and I think it's like in the exact same scene almost, but they're confronted by like cops with guns and everything, and Indy like holds up his hand. He's like, "All right, everybody, put your guns down." And then a car pulls up behind them, and they put their guns down and get in their car and go away. And then they turn around and see the car behind them, and some rando gets out.
Yeah, they talked about him. They did. He was in exposition.
Barely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like we didn't know who he was.
No,
so it's just like they should have set him up some way.
Yeah,
because it's like it felt like that was supposed to be one of those funny moments where Indy's like, "I talked them down," and then it turns around and you see the actual threat, and it's like, "Ah, fuck."
Yeah, he's the big guy that you turn around and the big guy's right behind you. Yeah, and he's not really. And
it was so poorly, and there's so much of that in this movie that it's just like it feels like they had great ideas, or like textbook ideas that should have worked, but they had no idea how to set them up.
It seems like mid-scene at some point, the director's like, I think this is funny. This should be funny. Yeah, I do feel like that sometimes. However, I did get a kick out when he stepped out of the car. He's in pajamas. And she's like, well, "You're in pajamas," and he's like, "Yeah, my dad came to my room and woke me up and said that this woman who has disgraced us so much was back in our hotel, and then he gave me this machete." And I don't know why that was funny to me.
It was all right. I don't know. I don't think I really laughed until the end of this movie, and let's go ahead and let's talk about the ending.
Okay.
They time travel.
Don't
That's the exciting part.
Leave me here to wreck his...
Leave me here. Let me stay here. It honestly would have made more sense if he had stayed there. I think your wife said that too.
I thought they were going to do that.
Yeah. So here's what happens: is they go through a time fissure. Two planes go through the time fissure.
Right.
One plane has Mads Mikkelsen and Boyd Holbrook, Indiana Jones, and Helena Shaw.
That's right.
And then the other plane has Teddy, the young, not short, round boy.
That's right.
And some rando stranger who was supposed to be flying the plane but fell asleep, and then Teddy jumped in and didn't know he was back there.
It looks to me, so they're like in the middle of Greece at this point. So it seems to me that this is a pilot who makes his money doing like small charters and stuff. And he's just asleep in his plane, and he wakes up, and this boy is driving his plane into the storm.
Into a storm.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell is going on? They don't speak the same language. I thought that
towards the eye of the storm. Even.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I felt so bad for that guy. That's when I first started laughing because that guy was hilarious. Because I felt so bad for him because I don't think he was a Nazi or anything.
No, he was just a Greek guy, and his subtitles were pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, he's just like, what in the hell? And they go through the eye of the storm. But unlike what Mads Mikkelsen thought, they don't go back to early World War II or mid World War II
because his calibration was off.
Yeah, they go way back. They go back to what do they call it? The Siege of Syracuse?
The Siege of Syracuse. So this is when Rome was taking over the rest of Italy. And because, as we said, Syracuse is in Sicily, which is at the very south of the peninsula. And up until that point, the culture in Syracuse was Greek, while most of the other cultures around them were Latin. But not Roman.
Gotcha.
This is before, like, the Romans spoke the same language, the Latin language, but they were all city-states, kind of like the Greek were too. And then they became an empire. The Republic at this point. No, it's the empire at this point. Just barely. No, wait. It's 200 some BC. I get confused because they kept on saying 2,000 years ago, but it's more than that. Because
it really is.
And I keep on thinking
212 BC.
Yeah. And I keep on thinking from our perspective 2,000 years ago is still in the Common Era. So it was very confusing that part, them just saying 2,000. In fact, the first time I thought he said 2 million years ago, and I was like, okay, I don't know Archimedes that well. Maybe that was a long time ago.
Not that many years ago.
Well, like I was thinking, because he's like, I was thinking that he was kind of a mythological hero.
The world's only 6,000 years old, Blake.
No, shut up.
And it's flat. That's another thing this movie got wrong.
That's true. So,
no, that was one of the funny things is that the reason that it doesn't work, the little device, I guess the reason it doesn't work is because, as Harrison pointed out, as Indiana Jones pointed out, man, that's really weird to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But he doesn't feel like Indiana Jones. Maybe that's it. He feels so broken and old, no offense at all, because that's what his character is.
He is going by Henry Jones at this point.
He is. Exactly. But he points out that Archimedes wouldn't have known about continental drift.
That's true.
And therefore, this device isn't going to work the way they thought it would. And lo and behold, it doesn't. It takes them all the way back to 212 BC.
Yeah.
Where we finally get the most beautiful scene in the entire movie, which is one Nazi plane shooting upon the ships of the Romans and the Greek people on shore. It's fabulous. Like, I can't believe they went here. Like, I was really enjoying that scene. It was great.
Yeah, like the planes getting shot down by the ballistas was pretty good. Yeah. Like, the Romans are like, we must take out their dragons. It was a ballista
That's right, they
bolt.
called them dragons.
It was
I loved that.
Roman
that was really
ballista bolt.
And then they crashed the plane. They crashed the Nazi plane in the past, in 212 BC. And Indiana Jones wants to stay behind. And really, he should have stayed behind because, as your wife pointed out, if he stays behind, it would make sense why we wouldn't have seen any of those things historically in the ruins of this world, or this culture, I mean. But because he could have taught them how to destroy it all, basically. Right, he could have, gotten rid of all the evidence. But since he doesn't stay behind, how have we not seen the ruins
because
of an
Archimedes was smart.
Yes. He knew that this thing couldn't stick around because it would ruin it.
Why? I mean, he knew they were from the future, and if he is truly as smart of a philosopher as they say, then he could say
he wore a fucking watch to his death.
That is true, but robes have long sleeves, Greg. Okay?
You can't hide a Nazi plane.
All right. I think we're done with this spoiler wall. Let's do our closing statements.
Let's do it. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but at the same time, it's another not needed entry in this franchise. I'm happy it's the final one. I hope they stick to it being the final one and don't do spin-offs or anything. Just let it die.
Right.
Let the franchise be. It was fine what it is. The set pieces are fine. Like, everything about this is fine. What's disappointing is that another fine aspect of the film is John Williams' score. I wanted his score, like, I love John Williams, and I was I was really excited to hear his music again. And it was okay. It kind of just meshed well with the movie, and that was it. It didn't wow me or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of disappointing, actually, just that it was just a fine score. But other than that, if you love Indy, check it out. Enjoy it. Have a good time. But if you don't, it's 2.5-star film.
It's a better cap than the Crystal Skull. It's a better cap to the franchise than the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. But if you don't like Indiana Jones, it's a 2.5-star film. So just wait to see it on DVD or whatever. Stream it.
Yeah. If you're a big Indy fan, I do think watching it on the screen is nice. But yeah, I
don't think it's necessary though.
Yeah, I probably could have waited. I know that I watched the Crystal Skull in theaters, and if I was alive, I would have tried to watch the other 3 in theaters because I like this franchise. Right. I like the character.
Well, we did watch them, but we had to watch them in government facilities.
That's right. It was more of a single projector. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, my closing statement, I give it a full face. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than some other Indiana Jones movies, but it's not also the best. It's very much middle ground. In fact, I might put it right at the middle. Yeah, I think so, actually. What do you think is the best Indiana Jones movie? I think we are in agreement.
Yeah, I would say the worst is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because aliens. And then the best is The Last Crusade because that Sean Connery, Harrison Ford chemistry.
The Last Crusade is just a great, fine movie. This franchise will never beat it. So they should stop.
Agreed.
My least, though, I think I put the Temple of Doom at the bottom because it is honestly just offensive.
That's fair. That's really fair. But the second one, for me, it's the third and the first one are wonderful, and then everything else is kind of just like, if you want to.
Indiana Jones movie. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I can agree. Well, I think that was our show.
That is it. That's done. Yeah. That was about 4 minutes after the spoiler wall fell down, so it was close to about right. I don't have to do anything for this, and I like that. So thank you for listening. Love you all, Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on
Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.